Have you ever thought of this pentacle or pentagram as being something scary? Not realizing it is the pagan or Wiccan symbol for balance, or according to the traditional Chinese medicine or feng shui, it is the balance of the elements as well. In Chinese medicine, each element is represented by an organ. Each element is also represented by a time of day, a color, a sound, and a type of taste. We may notice there's an issue with an organ depending on when we wake up at night, and based on this diagram, we can also see if there are other organs affecting. There's a productive cycle, which means one element strengthens another. The productive cycle are the pink arrows in this diagram. If you want to weaken an element, which represents an organ because it's overstimulated, you would use the exhaustive cycle, which is represented by the gray areas in this diagram. This makes sense in magic when we're trying to strengthen our elements, creating our circles at the beginning of our ritual. Then at the end, we would close it by using the exhaustive cycle, which then weakens the elements. If we wanted to take away an element in our healing or in our feng shui or in our magic, we would use the destructive cycle represented by the black arrows in this diagram. How is it all related and makes sense? For the productive cycle, fire burns and creates earth. The minerals in the earth create the metal. A metal bowl holds the water. Water feeds the wood, the trees of the world, and wood feeds the fire so the fire can burn. The star in the middle represents the destructive cycle. Pour water on the fire to put out the fire. The hot fire melts the metal. A metal axe chops down the wood, the trees. The roots of more trees unearths the soil. The earth soaks up all the water. Using these cycles and realizing each element is represented by an organ helps us understand the importance of balance. Fire is represented by the heart and small intestine. Earth is represented by the spleen and stomach. Metal by the lungs or the colon or large intestine. Water by the kidneys and bladder. Wood by the liver and the gallbladder. Our emotions also give us a clue of our balance or imbalance of our organs. When fire is not balanced, we're showing sadness or overexcitability. When they are purged through Chinese medicine, qigong, colors, or tastes, we bring in manifestation and joy. When the earth element is imbalanced, you're full of worry and overthinking. When it's balanced or purged, you feel supported and centered. With an imbalanced metal element, you feel grief, loss, abandonment, and shame. When it's purged and balanced, you bring in integrity and courage. With an imbalanced water element, you have a lot of fears. When balanced, you bring in wisdom, grace, self-confidence, willpower, and endurance. When the wood element is imbalanced, there's a lot of anger, resentment, frustration, jealousy, and depression. When it's purged and balanced, there is kindness, compassion, generosity, and acceptance. If you want to balance the elements with tastes or different foods, eat bitter foods for the heart and small intestine, sweet foods for the spleen and stomach, spicy foods for the lungs and large intestine, salty foods for the kidneys and the bladder, and sour foods for the liver and gallbladder. Purge all the negative aspects before bringing in color, or else you would just accidentally strengthen the negative aspects of that element. For fire, create an inner smile and smile down at your heart and imagine the color red. Smile down at your spleen and stomach and imagine a luminous yellow. Smile down at the lungs and large intestine and bring in the color silver or white. For the kidneys and the bladder, imagine the color black or blue. Smile down at your liver and gallbladder and imagine a luminous green. Positions of the tongue and sound will also help the organ. For the heart and small intestine, the tongue tip is facing towards the nose, and the sound is ha. For the spleen and stomach, the tongue is flat behind the lower teeth, and the sound is fu. For the lung and large intestine, the tongue is behind the teeth where the top and the lower teeth meet, and the sound is s, like a snake. For the kidney and bladder, the tongue curls back, and the sound is shui or fu. For the liver and gallbladder, the tongue is straight up, pointed up like a tree, and the healing sound is shh. So the next time you see a pentagram, think twice. It's just a balance of the elements and how the practitioner decides to use these elements.